Okay, picture this. A room right in the middle of London, but not just any room, this one that has a reputation, a terrifying one. For almost 200 years, people have whispered about it.
Yeah, whispers that follow it
Yeah,
like a cold draft.
exactly. We're talking about a place where something unnatural is said to live. Forget your gentle bumps in the night.
Right.
This is supposedly the most haunted room in London, steeped in a fear so deep it's apparently killed people inside 50 Berkeley Square.
A very respectable address otherwise.
Totally. Tonight we're going deep, right into the legend of what's behind that locked door.
And we've got quite a bit to draw on for this dive. Lots of historical accounts, anecdotes. They all point to this really intense feeling of dread just tied to this one room.
Yeah.
Our goal isn't just, to tell a ghost story. We want to understand why this specific spot has grabbed people's imaginations, why it's inspired so much fear for so long.
Okay, let's paint the picture. It's 1840, London, big houses, loads of secrets, and we zoom in on Robert Warboys, a nobleman, apparently. Good standing. Mm-hmm.
But his friends, they knew him for something else. He was a thrill seeker, a guy who never, ever backed down from a dare. The crazier, the better, right?
Seems like it. And that need for a thrill, that's key here, isn't it?
Absolutely. He wasn't just some poor soul wandering and unaware. He was actively looking for, well, maybe for trouble, for an experience. It shows a certain kind of mindset.
Definitely. So one night, full of that spirit, Robert ends up outside 50 Berkeley Square. Impressive place, not some wreck.
No, a prestigious address, owned by a Charles Benson, who sounds a bit shadowy himself.
Right. And Robert, with either incredible guts or maybe just zero common sense, tells Charles and their mates, "Tonight, I'm sleeping upstairs in the cursed room."
Just like that. The one everyone whispered about. The one people actively avoided.
Yeah. And notice Robert's attitude, totally casual, right? Compared to the room's reputation.
It's a huge contrast. And Charles's reaction, he doesn't just laugh it off. He asks him, sort of darkly, "Are you sure?" before digging out this old iron key.
Ooh, the key.
A key that apparently hadn't been touched in years. That key itself, it's like a symbol of how long people have dreaded that room.
And that key. It unlocks a pretty grim history. Years before Robert, the house belonged to someone else. A man with a brother who was deeply troubled.
Unstable, violent, according to the story.
Yeah, and they locked him away in that exact second-floor room. Left him there until he died.
Grimm doesn't even cover it. A really bleak start.
But that was just the beginning, apparently. The start of the room's dark story. Because soon after, weird things started happening.
Groans. People heard groans. Furniture supposedly moving by itself. Classic haunting signs.
Classic, yeah. But the legend here, it goes beyond that, doesn't it? It gets much creepier.
Oh, definitely. This is where it gets really disturbing. The accounts start mentioning something. Something they call the nameless thing.
The nameless thing. Even the name is unsettling.
Right. And this wasn't your typical ghost, like a figure in white or whatever. People who claimed they saw it, they described it as gray, shapeless, like something sliding, almost liquid, along the walls, the floor.
Oh.
And the really chilling part, everyone who saw it or claimed to reported this overwhelming feeling, just pure evil coming off it.
That lack of a shape is terrifying in itself, isn't it? It lets your mind fill in the blanks with the worst possible thing.
Exactly. It taps into that primal fear of the unknown and that shared feeling of evil. That's powerful. Either a massive psychological effect or something else entirely.
So back to Robert, Mr. Skeptic. He probably heard these stories and just, rolled his eyes.
Spooky tales for kids, he likely thought.
Probably. So he takes this old dusty key from Charles, heads up the stairs, you can just imagine them creaking, and unlocks the door to the cursed room like it's nothing.
Just strolling in. That skepticism, it always ramps up the tension in these stories, doesn't it? You know what's coming.
It does. He walks in, pistol in hand. He wasn't completely reckless, I guess.
A small concession to the danger.
Inside, it probably looked normal enough. Old furniture, big four-poster bed, shadows everywhere. But there's this red ribbon hanging down for the servant's bell.
An important detail later.
Yeah. Robert gives his friends a confident look, maybe a smirk, steps inside, locks the heavy door. "See you in the morning," he says.
Just like that, casual. Oh, the irony.
Absolutely brutal irony. His peaceful night, not gonna happen.
That simple goodbye just highlights the massive gap between what he expected and, well, what the legends say happened.
So downstairs, Charles and the others, they're in the servant quarters, waiting. The tension must have been unbelievable.
You could cut it with a knife, I imagine.
Their eyes are glued to this row of bells on the wall, each one linked to a room upstairs. Charles points to one. His voice is low, full of dread. "If that bell rings," he says, "something's gone terribly wrong."
That bell becomes the focal point. Their only connection to Robert alone up there.
It's their lifeline, their alarm system.
Representing all their anxiety, really.
And they wait. And wait. Hours go by, clock ticking, making the silence louder. They try playing cards, probably in whispers.
Just trying to distract themselves.
Then, it happens. A scream.
Not just any scream.
No. Blood-curdling. Primal. Ripping through the quiet. A sound they'd never forget. And then, immediately, the bell.
Not a polite little ring.
No. Violent. Frantic. Clanging like crazy, shaking the walls, just desperate, relentless ringing.
The scream. Then instantly the bell. It points to something sudden, terrifying, pure panic.
That intensity of the ringing.
Yeah.
A desperate struggle or just overwhelming fear.
No time to think.
They just bolted up the stairs. Charles, who was already pale, must have been white as a sheet, leading the way, the others scrambling after him.
And the bell's still going mad. The screams are still echoing faintly.
And then, just as suddenly, silence.
Oh, it's almost worse.
Way worse. Deeper, more unsettling than the waiting. That sudden stop after all that chaos. It just cranks up the dread, doesn't it?
It creates this vacuum, this awful pause before
Yeah.
they find out what's happened.
They get to the second floor. Hallway's dead quiet. The door to the room, shut. Every step towards it feels heavy. You can hear their hearts pounding in the silence.
Reapprehension.
And just as they reach for the handle, bang,
Oh, God.
a single gunshot,
Oh,
deafening in the quiet.
that changes everything. It confirms it's not just a bad dream or a prank.
It's violent.
It confirms their worst fears. Yeah, something catastrophic happened in there. No going back.
Absolute panic then.
Total panic. They don't even think. Kicking the door, shoving, desperate, throwing themselves against this heavy oak door.
Charles is just frozen, apparently.
Yeah, like a ghost amidst the chaos. Finally, crash, splinters flying. The door bursts open.
That forced entry just shows the sheer terror, the urgency. They have to know.
And what they saw inside that room,
Yeah.
it would haunt them forever.
What do they find?
Robert, on the bed, not moving. In his hand, clutched so tight, the red bell ribbon ripped right off the ceiling mount.
He was trying to ring it. Desperately. His pistol. On the floor. And there's a bullet hole in the wall. And this is crucial, not near the door. No sign he shot at anything or anyone.
The torn ribbon, his last act, trying to get help.
Yeah.
The gunshot, aimed at what? Or maybe just a panicked reflex. It rules out a fight with a person.
Exactly. It points to terror directed at something unseen.
The physical details are terrifying. Suggests his last moments were just extreme, lonely terror.
But it was how he looked, Robert himself. That was the worst part. His eyes, wide open, bloodshot, staring at something they couldn't see.
Oh, horrible.
His face, twisted, like a silent scream. For a second, maybe they thought, heart attack, sudden illness.
Grasping at straws.
But then they touched him, and that hope just vanished. His body was rigid, ice cold.
That description, the eyes, the face, it speaks of just unimaginable terror. And the rigidity, the coldness, it feels unnatural.
It suggests something beyond just a medical event, doesn't it? Profound shock, terror freezing him.
So what was the official story?
Officially, massive heart failure of unknown origin. Convenient, vague.
Almost deliberately vague, perhaps.
But Charles, his friends, the ones who were there, they knew what really got Robert Warboys.
That gap between the official line and what they saw, it just highlights how normal explanations didn't fit.
And it probably just fueled the rumors even more, right? Strengthened the belief about the room.
Absolutely. And Robert's death, horrific as it was, wasn't the end of it.
Not even close. For nearly 200 years, the stories kept going, got darker. Anyone who owned 50 Berkeley Square after that reported. Weird stuff. Unsettling things, an icy dread, always seeming to come from that second floor room.
People tried to fix it, didn't they? Sealing it off, rituals.
Everything, cleansings. They even tried to burn the house down, apparently. Nothing worked.
It shows how persistent, how stubborn the phenomenon was. Whatever was there, it wasn't leaving easily.
The fact the stories lasted so long across different owners, it does give them a certain weight, doesn't it? Suggests something was really going on, or at least a powerful psychological effect tied to the place.
Definitely. Which leads us to the next poor soul.
Years later, a young sailor, cocky, brave, maybe just foolish like Robert. He decides he'll be the one. He'll debunk the myth.
History repeating itself.
Totally. He gets paid a decent chunk of money to spend one night in the famous room, goes in there swaggering, totally confident he'll walk out fine. A hero.
That overconfidence again, echoing Robert. Setting up for another tragedy.
Sadly, yes. His confidence lasted minutes.
Oh, no.
Mere minutes later, the night is just shattered again. Screams, pure terror. People come running, police get called.
And when they have the door open.
They find the sailor, dead, twisted in the exact same posture of agony as Robert. Eyes wide, silent scream frozen on his face.
Exactly the same.
Exactly. And just like Robert, no wounds, no sign of a struggle, nothing.
Wow. The repetition. The twisted body, the scream, no injuries. It strongly suggests the same cause. It makes the legend, the entity, seem horrifyingly real.
It really lends this disturbing credibility to the supernatural side, doesn't it? Like whatever is in there has a consistent, terrifying way of operating.
So after that second death,
That was it. The room was locked. For good this time. Seems like nobody dared try again after the sailor.
locking it permanently. That says a lot. Fear won. They accepted they couldn't explain it or stop it.
And that leads to some even weirder theories, whispered theories, like maybe whatever's in that room isn't a ghost, not in the usual sense.
Something older.
Yeah, something else, not even human. And the really chilling idea, it doesn't need to touch you. It kills you with fear itself. Pure, undiluted terror.
That taps into a much deeper kind of horror, doesn't it? Something ancient, outside our understanding, being literally scared to death.
It's a truly terrifying thought. Something preying on fear.
So what about the house now? 50 Berkeley Square today.
Today, it looks like any other smart office building in central London. People walk past, probably have no idea about the history.
Business as usual.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But that second floor door, still locked. A silent reminder.
The mundane present versus the terrifying past. That locked door keeps the legend alive, in a way.
It really does. It underlines that enduring power of the stories. Nobody wants to risk finding out if something's still in there.
You can't blame them.
Not at all. So next time you happen to be near Berkeley Square, maybe late at night, glance up at that second floor. But be warned.
What did they say?
Some people still claim unquiet nights. If you listen really carefully, you might hear something faint. A tiny bell ringing. A muffled scream. Or maybe like a sock slithering sound.
Oh, unsettling.
And if you do see that locked door, just, don't stare too long.
Why not?
Because, according to the legend, something inside might just be looking back.